Casual, where today we are going to be doing another mock draft for Monday, Mock Draft Monday. And today we will be doing a post combine mock draft. This is just going to be a one round mock draft. So there's a lot of guys that maybe, rose up through the combine that won't get featured in this because it's only one round. But it's a Monday, so we're going to do another mock draft. Make sure if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. But let's get right into this mock draft. I think what happens with the first pick is it gets traded, or potentially gets traded, like a team like the Giants or the Raiders trade up to get the number one choice of quarterback. But for now, I'm actually going to have the Titans take Cam Ward here. If they stay at one, I very well could see them taking pretty much Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, or Abdul Carter. I think that is going to be the first pick in the draft. So in this, I'll have the Titans get their quarterback of the future in Cam Ward. Browns at 2, it's pretty much to me, they could go QB here, but I think it's between Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. And I'm actually going to go with Abdul Carter this time around at 2. I think people view him very highly. I think he's going to get picked very high. Could go 1 in my opinion. But, they have Myles Garrett, but 1. You could use the guy next to Myles Garrett, and Myles Garrett could just end up getting traded this offseason anyway. And especially if he gets traded, you need a guy like Abdul Carter to be that number one edge rusher for you. So I like that pick for him on the Browns. And then I'm going to have the Giants pick the last of the top 3 guys, and that's Travis Hunter. He said he's clarified multiple times, especially during the combine, that he will be playing, or he wants to play both positions. So the Giants need a corner. They also need some receivers outside of Malik Nabers. You can fix both of that with Travis Hunter. I don't think they go QB. It seems like they could go quarterback, but it seems like they want to get a guy like Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. They were even interested in Stafford before he decided to go back with the Rams, or the Rams decided to keep him. But it seems like they're going to go the veteran route, and then whether they pair that with a young guy or not, we'll have to see. So I like Travis Hunter because he can fill 2 needs that the Giants have. Patriots at 4. I really like the Will Campbell pick here. I've been doing it recently because there are so many really good receivers in free agency or that could be on the trade market. And the Patriots have so much money that I think they should spend their money on receiver and then get a guy like Will Campbell, because you're not going to be able to sign a guy like Will Campbell in free agency or trade for a guy like him. But you can draft him at 4. So that's why I really like the Patriots going with him at 4. Now, when I've done that, I've had the Jags then go with McMillan, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit. And I'm actually going to have the Jags go with Mason Graham. I feel like people aren't talking about Mason Graham as much as maybe they should be. He's really good. The Jags really need some help on that interior D-line with the run defense. They have the 2 really good young edge rushers in Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen, but they need somebody in the middle, and Mason Graham is just perfectly that. Raiders at 6. I don't think they pass up on a quarterback here. I think they go Shedeur Sanders at 6. I find it hard to imagine that they could get a guy like Sam Darnold out of free agency. We'll have to see. Once free agency concludes, obviously we'll have a much better picture for the draft. But until free agency happens, I like the Raiders taking a QB here at 6. Now, a pick that I don't know if it's surfaced a lot, but I think I've seen it a few times here with the Jets at 7. They could go McMillan. They could go Will Johnson. They could go one of the receivers, maybe outside of McMillan, and maybe Luther Burden or one of the corners. I like Tyler Warren to the Jets. I feel like Tyler Warren will either go to the Jets at 7. Panthers could take him at 8. Or I think he ends up going to the Colts at 14. I think the Colts could trade up with a team like maybe the Panthers to get Tyler Warren before maybe a team like the Saints takes him. I guess that's possible too. But I really like Tyler Warren. The Jets don't have really anybody at tight end. They had Tyler Conklin, who had an okay season, but outside of that, it's not. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be. They could draft a guy, they could sign a guy, trade for a guy, but whoever it is, pairing him, giving him a reliable pass catcher like Tyler Warren, I think is great, and they just need anybody, honestly. Panthers at 8. Another common pick I've seen around, and that is he's low on this board for whatever reason, but it's Jalen Walker at 8. He can play linebacker, he can play edge rusher, and I like this fit to the Panthers. 1, I'm pretty sure he's from the area, but 2, the Panthers need help rushing the passer, and they also need help stopping the run, which also means they need DNs and they need linebackers. Jalen Walker can kind of do both for you. So a team that needs so much help on defense in multiple ways, get a guy that can help you in multiple ways. So that's why I like the Jalen Walker fit to the Panthers at 8. Saints at 9. I've had them go edge rushers before. I've had them go tackles. But I don't think this player could fall much more, and that's Tetairoa McMillan at 9. Sometimes you just go best player, and I think McMillan could be the best player on the board. And the Saints also need help at receiver, because outside of Chris Olave and I guess Rashid Shaheed, but Chris Olave hasn't been the healthiest. But outside of those guys, you don't really have anything for whatever quarterback you throw out there, whether it's Derek Carr or Spencer Rattler. Seems like it's going to be their quarterback. Give them a big body target like McMillan. You kind of have all the different builds of receivers if you have McMillan, Shaheed, and Olave. You kind of got you got a versatile receiver room if you get McMillan. Bears at 10. I've had them go tackles many times because they need help on that O-line. But they also have 2 second-round picks. Pretty high second-round picks as well, because they have the Panthers second-rounder. And there are some good tackles that could go in the early second round. So I'm actually going to have the Bears go with Ashton Jeanty here. I think he's visiting with the Bears or visited with them. It's like them and the Cowboys. It seems like it will take Ashton Jeanty here. I'm gonna go with the Bears taking him because, again, they have Ben Johnson. They have the double running back system. It can be him and DeAndre Swift. I know they could sign free agents, like maybe like a guy like Nick Chubb could go there, but you get the best player. You pair him alongside Swift, and then you're not making Jeanty be that number 1 every down guy, which I think will be beneficial for him long term. Niners at 11. You could go O-line here if you're the Niners, but I think you can't pass up on the best player available, which is James Pierce, in my opinion, at 11. I don't know why James Pierce was projected like number 1 going into this year's draft process. Then he's kind of fallen out. No one talks about him. And then after the combine, he rose back up again. I really like him to the Niners because although they need line more, he's the best player available in my opinion, and they still need help outside of Nick Bosa on that pass rushing unit. So I really like the fit of James Pierce to the Niners. Colts at 12. They can't go Jeanty anymore. Jeanty went to the Bears. I think they just need help on offense, and Luther Burden is right here at 12 for the Cowboys. They could be in the market. I think I saw Cooper Kupp or another guy to pair along CeeDee Lamb. Why not get some youth to pair along CeeDee Lamb? Luther Burden can be exactly that. They need help on offense. He's probably the best offensive player available because their defense is healthy. It's a good defense. It's the offense that needs help, even when healthy. So I like Luther Burden as the best offensive player on the board, and potentially the best player on the board in general. Dolphins at 13. I've normally had him go Malachi Starks here, but it seems like Starks might be falling down the boards and could be like a Brian Branch situation where he goes like in the early second round for no reason. So I'm going to hold off on taking Starks here, and I'm going to fill one of the Dolphins' important needs, and that's the O-line. They need help on the O-line a lot. You need to keep Tua upright because the difference in that offense when Tua's there and when Tua's not there is so drastic. You need to keep Tua healthy. You need to keep him in the pocket, and they need help on that O-line. So I like Kelvin Banks here to the Dolphins at 13. Colts at 14. I normally go Tyler Warren. He's not on the board. So I don't think you go tight end. You don't go like Harold Fannin here at 14. So you probably go edge rusher or defensive back. And then, although you could go Mike Green, we don't know what's going to happen with his draft stock. Um, but I'm actually going to go DB here. It's between Jahdae Barron and Will Johnson. I think Will Johnson is still going to end up high. I don't see why he falls super far. So I like Will Johnson at 14 to the Colts. Falcons at 15. They need help on the edge. I really like Mykel Williams here. He could go much higher. I think I wouldn't even mind if a team like the Saints or Panthers took him at 8 or 9. But I think the Falcons, to get him at 15, they need edge rush so bad. I really like that fit to them. Cardinals at 16, I've consistently given them O-line because they need help on that O-line so bad. And I like Josh Simmons here out of Ohio State to help with that Cardinals O-line. Bengals at 17, I think they just go best defensive player available, especially if T. Higgins is on the roster. And or maybe not necessarily best defensive player, because I don't think they necessarily need a corner. I think they need D-line help. I like Kenneth Grant here to the Bengals at 17. Seahawks at 18. You know who's really risen up the boards? Shamar Stewart. Had a great combine. Super athletic. Seahawks need help rushing the passer. Because, yeah, they could use some O-line help. But they need more interior O-line, and you're not going to get that at 18. So I really like Shamar Stewart to the Seahawks at 18. Bucks at 19. I think they go defense here. I think they go, not only do I think they should prioritize corner out of every other position on defense, but the best defensive player on the board is a corner in Jahdae Barron. So I love that fit for him on the Bucks. Broncos at 20. Now, I've consistently given them Luther Burden, or I guess Emeka Egbuka, but Luther Burden is not on the board for the Broncos at 20. Tyler Warren isn't on the board for them either. They could use a tight end. So I think they go shift to defense here. They could go Jahad Campbell at linebacker, but I like them going safety because they let Justin Simmons walk last year, and they have a great front seven. They obviously have PS2 at corner, Riley Moss as well, but they don't have those back end guys. And since this is a post-combine mock draft, kind of like Shamar Stewart, I want to take guys that had crazy good combines, and one of those is Nick Emenwari. And I'm actually going to have him go 20 to the Broncos. I don't think it's far-fetched that he ends up in the first round. I know in my 3-round mock draft, I didn't have him taken. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess because he was ranked low on the board, I just forgot about him. But I could easily see him being a first-round pick and easily see him being picked over Malachi Starks. Steelers at 21, I think they go receiver here. I think they go Emeka Egbuka. I think it's an easy pick personally. If there's not a good DB available, which there isn't, or corner available, which there isn't, I think you go best receiver. I like Emeka Egbuka to the Steelers at 21. Chargers at 22. If it's not edge rusher, it's offense for me. You could go Mike Green. You could go Donovan Ezeraku, Nick Scorton. But just like Nick Emenwari, another guy who had a very good combine is Matthew Golden out of Texas. Isaiah Bond said he was going to break Xavier Worthy's record, and then Matthew Golden easily beat him in the 40, which is kind of funny. But Golden, great combine. Chargers need help at receiver. I know they have a lot of money, which they could spend at receiver. They didn't get a guy like Debo, but maybe they can get someone else in the offseason at receiver. But why not add a young guy like Matthew Golden who can help alongside Ladd McConkey and maybe Quentin Johnston, depending on what he does. Packers at 23. This may be a little bit of a reach, but I just don't see them needing anybody else on the board. They could go interior D lineman, but I think they need help at corner, especially because it seems like Jair Alexander could be not on the team next year. And I know this could be a reach here at 23, but I still like Trey Amos to the Packers at 23 at corner. Vikings at 24. They need help on that D-line. And why not go back-to-back Ole Miss picks here? I'll give them Walter Nolan. I really like Walter Nolan. I still don't know who I would have as the better D lineman outside of Mason Graham, or interior D lineman, whether that's Nolan or Kenneth Grant. But with Kenneth Grant off the board, I really like Walter Nolan to the Vikings at 24. They have good pass rushers, but they need some guy in the middle, and Walter Nolan can be that. Now, the Texans, I've had them take Tyler Booker pretty much every mock draft. However, I'm going to have them go a different lineman here, because they need to go O-line, in my opinion. Stroud was running for his life. However, they don't necessarily need a tackle here, but I'm looking at Gray Zabel, who has played snaps at left guard, and I was told in the comment section that he doesn't necessarily have the length of the arm length to be an NFL tackle, and he might be a guard. So, Texans needing a guard, Zabel maybe being more of a guard in the NFL, and him playing guard. I like Gray Zabel to the Texans, and they also could just use him as tackle depth too. Like if one of their if like Laramie Tunzel misses a game, you can maybe slide him at tackle if you need to, or something like that. So I like him, his versatile fit for the Texans at 25. Rams at 26, another great combine performance is Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. Great combine for him. Rams need help at that linebacker position. You're not going to take a tight end here. You could go one of the tackles, but maybe not. I don't think you'd go a DB, so I like Jahad Campbell. To the Ravens at 20, or Rams at 26. Ravens at 27. I like O-line here. I like Armin Membo. Best tackle in the board, probably. I like his fit to the Ravens at 27. Lions at 28. I would have loved for them to be able to get Jahad Campbell, but unfortunately went 2 picks earlier. And another position group they could use is edge rusher, because outside of Aiden Hutchinson, you don't have much. And their whole D-line got so banged up that any depth is good depth for the Lions. He may fall because of some stuff that's happening, but I'm going to have the Lions go with Mike Green at 28, edge rusher out of Marshall. He's still such a good player, and for a really good team like the Lions to get him at 28, I love that for them. Commanders at 29, recently traded for Deebo Samuel. People seem to be hating the trade, but only giving up a 5th, I think, is great value for a guy like Deebo still. But I think a position that the Commanders could use is lineman, and I like Josh Connerly out of Oregon to them. I think he had a good Senior Bowl. I don't know how well he did in the Combine necessarily, but, I mean, you could go one of the edge rushers, but outside of them, I don't see where else you would go with if you're the Commanders outside of a guy like Josh Connerly. Bills at 30. I've given them interior D linemen in the past, but that's with either Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant being on the board. But them off the board, a player I actually like here for a Super Bowl contender like the Bills to get is Malachi Starks. I know I said he might fall out of the first, but I don't see how that happens. He's still really good, in my opinion. And a team like the Bills could take advantage of his falling stock, so to speak. Because outside of Damar Hamlin, you don't really have much there at safety if you're the Bills. So to get a guy like Malachi Starks, who can also play in the box as well and help out some of your linebacker needs maybe, I think is great. Chiefs at 31, you have to go O-line here. I don't think you really have a choice if you're the Chiefs. Best O-lineman, I think, is Ariante Ursary. It's probably a bit of a reach. You'd probably love Josh Connerly if you're the Chiefs, but I think you just have to go with O-lineman here. Last but not least, Eagles at 32. They don't really need much. They honestly have like a perfect roster. They do have 3 big free agents in Josh Sweat, Zach Bond, and Milton Williams. And they could end up losing some of those guys. And especially trying to get Myles Garrett, which would be crazy if Myles Garrett ends up on the Eagles. But I made this pick last time and I really liked it. I like Donovan Ezeraku to the Eagles because I think the most likely guy to leave is Josh Sweat, whether they get Myles Garrett or not. So I like adding Ezeraku. If they trade for Myles Garrett, maybe you go like a Derek Harmon here, but until they get Myles Garrett, I like Ezeraku or just edge rusher in general to the Eagles at 32. quickly zoom out here so you can see the full draft. And let me know some of your thoughts and opinions on this post-combine mock draft. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. And as always, please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this type of content over here and you don't want to miss out on more. It helps a lot to subscribe. Simple click of a button. And also, if you enjoyed, leave a like. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.